Hey, what's up, y'all? I appreciate you taking the time to ask me a few questions and whatnot. So, we can discuss some of these issues that I've been talking about over the last few days. So, let's get right into this brief little interview.
All right, Hakeem, first question. Neo-soul poetry, we both know, is a new concept to most people. How do you feel neo-soul ties into our musical history as African Americans?
Right. Because a lot of people just now being introduced to neo-soul and neo-soul poetry as a new phenomenon, as a terminology or a label for a musical genre. A lot of people aren't really aware of the musical history and its connection to various phases of our musical history, particularly in the African American community. Neo-soul basically, is a terminology used by Kadar Massenberg, as everybody knows, from Motown Records. He used it as a term to describe a group of people that was singing a form of soul music that was in retrospect, that mimicked, so to speak, or was similar to, or was a rebirth of the original styles of soul music from the 20s and 30s, the style of music that was sung with big beat jazz, for example, down in New Orleans, and later as well in Tennessee, in Mississippi, with a lot of blues singers. Some of the earliest musical singers and people that spoke to music were essentially what we could classify today as poets. And so in such a way, neo-soul poetry has its roots in classical jazz music, classical soul music, classical blues. It has its root there because a lot of blues singers in particular really weren't really singers as we know singers to be. You take, for example, someone like Paul Robeson, who is not only was an accomplished singer, but he's a historical figure, an intellectual giant as well, an athlete, and many other things. But Paul Robeson was a heck of a voice, and he wasn't your traditional type of singer. He was, kind of someone with a real deep, raspy voice, who never really intended to carry a tone, so to speak, and yet his music styling was very, very keen, in particular in history, and recognized as a monumental advancement in musical history, in terms of African American community is concerned, African American music. But neo-soul poetry in itself is a musical genre that has its roots rooted, like I said, in big beat jazz, blues, early soul singers, such as Ella Fitzgerald, Josephine Baker, and several others, Eartha Kitt, a lot of various other different peoples. So neo-soul poetry is basically, a new expression of an old musical idea, of an old musical voice.
When did you start becoming involved or engaging in neo-soul?
Well, really, I'm just a spoken word poet, to be honest with you. I've been doing spoken word poetry for quite some time, writing poetry, collecting poetry, things of that nature. And it wasn't until my love for my introduction to neo-soul, such as through like Sade, Erykah Badu, Jill Scott, things of that nature, that I came to understand the connection between spoken word poetry and neo-soul and its ultimate connection to our musical history, to all forms of musical singing, musical speaking, musical talking, musical poetry, whatever the case may be. And so once I really tapped into spoken word poetry as a performer and seeing the interconnectedness with neo-soul, I began to want to, of course, do spoken word to music, to rhythms, and kind of, tap into neo soul as a movement in itself, as a musical genre, through the voice of a spoken word poet.
Okay. Hakeem, if we can move into some of your songs, is that okay?
Sure.
All right. So I heard the song My Story on your website, neosoulpoetry.ning.com, and I wanted to know if you can give us an overall, maybe a quick summing up of that song. It's very, very unique to me, and I think our audience would like to know what that song means.
Right. The song My Story is a journey into my history, into my experience growing up. So I kind of, talk about my past, my pain, the things that haunt me in my sleep. We all have bad memories, bad dreams, so to speak. So I kind of just tapped into my journey through life and talked about all the various phases of my life, from a youth up to an adulthood, and to dealing with incarceration, dealing with educating myself, reaching back to the community, just the pain and loss and suffering of the community, all the things in life that really moves me throughout my journey in life since a child all the way on up to adulthood. And that's what it's like a saga, so to speak, and that's what that song is intended to do, is to share with you my saga, my history, my journey.
Okay. Is there anything else that you would like to add, Mr. Hakeem?
Not at this time. We're going to talk about some more issues later on. Right now I'm just getting moved around for the day. I got a lot on my mind, a lot to be said, as I mentioned in the previous video. And so I'm going to get a chance to really talk about a lot of different issues, particularly when it comes to music, when it comes to the community activism, working with at-risk youth, speaking to the community, violence in the community, drugs in the community, all these different issues in the community. I'm going to get a chance to touch on all these and talk about all of them in the next video.
All right, well, thank you for taking the time out, and I look forward to getting with you again.
Sure.
All right.